Guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. How are you? Are you having a good day? All right, so let us start. Every time something comes out or Jon says something new, last week he was on a podcast and he said that there was no contact between Kate and Collin. And he stated that Kate has been not allowing Collin, to see his siblings because of the no contact between her and Collin, which obviously has been making waves. Like the interview was very long, 21 minutes. It was a small fraction of what he actually talked about. A very large portion of it was about helping fathers that are going through custody and just giving them some advice and sharing his point of view and everything that he's done for his children. He's been speaking to just about anyone that will listen, and it's very clear throughout all of this that his main goal is to ensure that his children remain off of TV and that the truth is known as, I guess, his truth is known, right? They always say there's your truth, there's my truth, and there's like three sides, right? There's like your side, my side, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle. And I think that some of the things that he says are likely very true. Obviously, there's aspects here where we have to consider the source. This is the ex-husband. So, right, can't just immediately go out. But Kate's done plenty of things in the media that have made a lot of us scratch our heads. And when I started thinking about, I like to go back in time, right? So I think about well, he says that, he didn't know where Collin was. I mean, it was 2016 and all of a sudden he just disappears and everyone is like, well, where did he go? And Kate was very elusive about it. And he's, sent away to this facility for special needs. And we're like, what special needs? Like, what are you talking about, Kate? And now he's back with his dad, and he's doing ROTC, and he's doing really well, doing great in school. He's in a large public school. He's enjoying life. He's happy, according to Jon. And it made me just wonder, well, what has there been that's been said about, in the past by Kate about Collin? And could something that she said about Collin prove some of the statements that Jon is saying now? And I found a letter. It's actually from a book she wrote, and so this book was published in 2010, and it was called I Just Want You to Know, Letters to My Kids. And it's a 200 plus book, and she writes individual letters to each one of her children, along with sharing stories of her amazing parenting, right? Because nobody does it better than Kate. But some parts of this letter are very normal mom stuff, but there's parts in here that sort of solidify to me that what Jon might be saying is true. So, and this actually was brought up in 2016 when Collin was sent away. So it's, things sort of the internet is forever, right? Books are forever. What you say about things, especially if it's about a topic that people have a lot of interest in, it's relevant, right? So, in the book, I just took the very short chapter about Collin, and she said, "The story of your name is not a mystery for sure. I know that by now you have heard a million times how Maddie chose your name. She was just 3 years old and wanted a baby brother. She asked repeatedly and declared your name would be Collin. So naturally, when Daddy and I learned the news that we would be having 7, which later became 6, we knew that you would be Collin, although you spent the entire time in the belly being referred to as baby F. You were located on the bottom right side in a tiny spot with Joel sitting on top of you the entire time you were in my belly. I laugh now because I wonder if that is the reason you and Joel tend to annoy each other at times. You had already spent a lot of time in the close quarters together by the time you were born." So I thought about that. He doesn't even have an opportunity to be annoyed by his siblings, except for Hannah, because he doesn't get to see them. That's so gross. At birth, you were the biggest baby, the only one who broke 3 pounds, and don't forget that the half ounce above. Every little bit counted at that size. You were my big boy. Even though you were big, you actually struggled a lot Due to your respiratory issues, I was not able to see your face for 2 weeks following your birth. It really bothered me that I didn't know what my baby boy looked like, and furthermore, I couldn't even hold you. He must have been on a respirator or a ventilator. I remember the first time Daddy and I were able to hold you, and we left Kara and Maddie to swim with friends on a Saturday afternoon and drove to the hospital eagerly. So she didn't hold him for the first 2 weeks of his life, which is odd. You can actually hold babies now that are on vents. So that's weird. I don't know why she wouldn't be able to see his face, but whatever. We held you for a short time before you started to have difficulty breathing, but it was so good to see who you were, even if it was cut short. You had gorgeous dark brown hair, eyes, and floppy cheeks that were precious. I loved holding you close. I have enjoyed watching you grow, and remember the first time I knew you were a genius. You were barely 2, and I was changing your diaper, dressing you. You said, "Boo, Mommy," and I thought you were trying to scare me until I realized you were pointing at your blue shirt. I had no idea you knew your colors, but when I started pointing to every different color in the room, you proved it to me. You are the only 5-year-old who can add 17 and 21, far from the only addition problem you can do mentally and come up with the correct answer. You, by nature, are very sweet, kind, and helpful, and I encourage you to continue to use those gifts and help others whenever you can. I've seen you help your brothers and sisters as well as myself, and it warms my heart to keep it up, sweet boy. We appreciate you. So, again, I'm like, he doesn't get to use any of those gifts with his family. But then she does this like flip where she has to speak negatively about him. As you have grown, however, I must say you have challenged my authority greatly. At 2.5, you began testing and trying my patience at every chance. He was 2.5. That's what 2.5-year-olds do. I called Daddy at work many days crying because you would not obey. He was 2. I had to ask you every day, who's in charge, you or me? You would reluctantly answer, you are. As you have grown, this fact has not changed. You continue to be determined to do what you want to do, and I continue to try to rein you in. So a lot of people have always said that like maybe Kate couldn't control him and couldn't get him to do what she wanted, and he maybe didn't want to film, and maybe that was why he was sent away. It seems as though like no 2-year-old is like compliant all the time. And if you're expecting 2-year-olds to be compliant, that's weird. 2-year-olds are like off the charts emotional and just figuring out the world. They're very sweet and they're very volatile. Ages 3 to 5 are even worse. Most days I'm able to see that this determination is a quality I also possessed. Oh, so he's a lot like you. Interesting. It is a quality that will take you far as long as you make the right choices in life. So do you think he was maybe not making the choices that she wanted, wasn't listening to her, and that's why he went? This determination will not allow bumps in the road or tall mountains placed in your path to deter you. You will prevail and succeed at whatever you attempt. This perseverance is a wonderful quality if steered correctly. Again, like, you aren't doing what I want you to do. You need to steer it correctly. I would say he moved mountains by finding a way to get in touch with his father and used that intelligence to get out of the place that she had put him. But that's just me. I am working on good choice versus bad choice with you now at 5 years old. That's normal. That's literally normal for a 5-year-old. Like, what 5-year-old doesn't like have issues with making choices? If you allow me, I will be with you, helping you to make the right choices so that you are able to succeed always. So it's like she's decided he's the bad kid. He makes the bad choices. He's tested her patience since he's been 2. He's wants to do things his way, not her way. And we all know she's like a freaking drill sergeant. I said, although I obviously do not possess the skills necessary to father you, yeah, because you alienate your children from their father, I will walk with you and help guide you as I do my very best to mother you. See, this was her problem, is when Jon left, so she wrote this after they got divorced, like a year. She made the decision that it was like daddy before and daddy after. And like, it was the tale of two daddies. When in reality, Jon said that he didn't want to be on TV, and she basically left him because he didn't follow her protocol. So it seems as though if people don't follow her protocol, they get cast aside and they become disposable, right? He doesn't want to film. She's like, I'm divorcing you. And he said this on Dr. Oz. It's actually like in the book that she wrote, or the in the autobiography, the biography that was written by Robert Hoffman from their divorce, and from information that he obtained through journals and stuff. It was her choice to leave and not the other way around. And it was all based on filming, according to what they found in here, because he didn't want to be on TV anymore. And he didn't want to go on speaking events with her. And so I know that the recent events in our family structure have greatly upset you, maybe you most of all. So you maybe want to be with Daddy, and I'm not letting you. I want you to know that I've made and will continue to make decisions based on what I believe is best for you and your brothers and sisters. It's almost like that statement right there. I will continue to make decisions based on what I believe is best for you. It's like almost a precursor, like she was anticipating something that was going to happen. These changes, I realize, are still painful and hurt a lot. I want you to know that my love for you will never change. I will never leave you. And when I must leave to go for work, I will always come back. But she did leave him, and she didn't come back. In 2016, he was placed in an institution in Pennsylvania, and she visited 3 times in 2 years. 3 times in 2 years. She didn't come back. She never came back. When he got out, she didn't even show up to the court for his custody hearing. It went uncontested. And by default, Jon won sole custody, physical, legal. So she did leave him. I will always come back. I will always be your same mommy. A wicked witch. As I often remind you now, you and your brothers and sisters are the reason I breathe. That fact will never change. If my son, and I realize I only have one, so it makes it very different, but I still know with a mother that every time you have a child, it's a piece of you, because if you delivered that child, if you are, you had that baby in your tummy for 9 months, and it's like a part of you is living outside of you, and that doesn't change, right? So if he's the reason why she breathes, why did she so easily dispose of him and then just allow and just give up and not even show up to court? And now, because she can't have contact with him, she's punishing him and not allowing him to be with his brothers and sisters, who now probably think that he's a big a-hole, because I'm sure Mom has lots of things to say about him. Thank you, Collin, for the complete honor of being your mommy. There's a special place in my heart that has your name on it. Really? Where was that place? Where was that place when you were going through all that stuff? When he was in that place for 2 years? So, as I'm reading all of that, I'm like, and I'm sorry, I'm being very, again, I promise you guys, I'm sorry. I am emotional after going through all of the stuff with all of the, all of you that have come forward about the Jehovah's Witnesses. But it's like Jon said that Collin has PTSD, and he went through a lot of horrible abuse at the hands of Kate. And he does not want to be around his mother. And courts don't just hand out no contact orders. They do not. Something happened. And what bothers me is if there was this going on behind the scene, why was she allowed to stay on TLC portraying like, oh, he's just away, no big deal? when one of her children is away, there's a no contact order, it never gets out publicly. Why? It's like TLC doesn't give a flying flip as long as it makes them money. It's like the same crap with the Duggars. Like, why are the Duggars on the air anymore? Like, with all the crap that goes on behind the scenes that you know isn't okay, why? Like, why are we giving her a platform to continue to con and pretend and convey that she's the best mom and use everything for sympathy? Like, when I look back at all of the things that she said, and she says a lot about him in her book through her journals that Robert Hoffman found about Collin, that you shouldn't just say about a 2-year-old. I mean, even in that letter, you didn't listen to me. You were 2. How many 2-year-olds listen to you every single day? I mean, there are some compliant children just by sheer nature, but spirited children, that's part of learning. So, what do you think? I know I'm on my diatribe. You can come to your own conclusion, but do you think what Jon has said is accurate? Do you think that there's a lot of hypocrisy here? Do you think that she fooled people? Do you think, like Robert Hoffman said, do you think she's fooled everyone? And do you think now that in 2020 the truth is finally out, that people's overall opinions of her will change? He says that she'll never be on the TV with the kids anymore. So are people going to watch just Kate? I'm not. I don't think there's a market for her, to be honest. And she hasn't said anything, which is weird. It's like she thinks if she can ignore it, it's going to go away, right? And I just don't think in this case you can ignore something this big and just pretend it's going to go away. But she'll never admit she's wrong, ever. I mean, authentically and honestly. She'll say it, but she'll never admit she's wrong because she's a freaking narcissist. At least that's what I think. And that's what Jon says. He says that she's a narcissist. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this proof that Jon isn't lying? Is it? Let me know in the comments. This is a good turnout. I'm glad that you guys enjoy this stuff. She's got lots of books she's written. So if you want me to dig back into some of her other stuff and take you on a trip down memory lane, we can certainly do that. It's very, again, applicable to what's going on right now. Lisa says, I'm brand new to your channel. Thank you for shining a light on the frauds on TLC. Absolutely, Lisa. People are always, they're always like, you talk about the shows that nobody else talks about. And I'm like, that's because I like to talk about the families that are on TLC, because TLC literally picks like the worst people and like pretends like what's going on behind the scene isn't really happening. And I know a lot of you like love the outdaughtered stuff, but I've heard a lot of things behind the scenes that are with that family that aren't authentic. And I just wonder why on the Learning Channel there aren't more shows like Dr. Pimple Popper where you actually learn about medical procedures, or you know that show where they're doing the feet stuff, where they have growths and stuff on their feet. Like, that's what the Learning Channel should be about. These reality shows, we're not learning anything from these families except that if you have enough desire to put your life on display for everyone and let everyone have access to your day-to-day life, and you're willing to put your children in that position so that you can make money, you know, only a certain kind of person is going to audition for a reality show. You have to kind of remember that. There are lots of people that would never do that. And I think for those of us that would never do it, we're just like, why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. And these kinds of shows that like follow families, it always puts a really bad taste in my mouth. And yes, Janny Schofield and Susan Schofield, which were part of Discovery Health, is another prime example of a family given a platform that should never have had a platform, and using that platform to gain sympathy, right? Okay, so what are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. I will be back in a little while as I think of what our third stream for the day will be. Bye, guys.